she's falling.
She's saying no, but
she's mad, but she still can't even stand.
She's so wobbly.
Zhang Weili is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the final post-pay-per-view show of the year, episode 75 here at Axe Cake Picks, December 22nd, 2023. As always, I'm your host, D-Rock, and joining me a little under the weather today, kid, but you got the Christmas tie all the way down in the beautiful state of South Carolina, Joey D. Joe, how you doing today, kid?
Doing great, Chuck. Another belt up on the Verdict app, man, because you had one Friday fights this morning, and it was a pay-per-view, so it was a little interesting to see. But like I said, I had another belt. So
how did you do overall? Fights were good?
Fights were enjoyable, of course, man. When you get 4-ounce glove Muay Thai, it's one of the best, most exhilarating sports in the world. And I got 4 out of the 5 fighters right, and wound up, let's see where I wound up, 63rd in the world.
Oh, attaboy. Top
number. How about
that?
Yeah,
how about that? Top 100 in the world. Gotta love it. Joe, thank you for that. We got a great episode for you today. Last post pay-per-view. I always love these post pay-per-view cards. We could have a whole episode just based on the reactions and the outcomes of 296. We'll dive into everything of that. We got Day of Reckoning, one of the biggest boxing cards over in Saudi Arabia. Got to shout out His Excellence for putting on a card like this. I mean, without him and Saudi Arabia during Real season, I don't think we'd ever be able to get this kind of card. So got amazing fights. Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. So we'll get into picks and previews of that in just a little. And we got a lot of news broke, a lot of fights for UFC 299, even some 300 fights announced as well. And we have Inoue fighting on the 26th, day after Christmas. Joey will take care of that in 10 seconds left. But, Joe, let's start with last week. We'll start in the main event. Leon Rocky Edwards, and still, what a dominant performance by the champ. I mean, he just coasted through, honestly, every round. Yeah, you could give, I guess, the last round to Colby Covington because, I guess, of how he finished on top. But we'll have a whole discussion about Colby in just a sec. But I guess a lot of people are saying, this was a boring fight. Like Colby they had a little ring rust. He didn't really go for it. Are we taking away, I guess, the execution and just how good Leon Rocky Edwards actually was?
Absolutely. Yeah. Leon had full control of that fight. I saw no danger presented by Colby as soon as that fight started. And that's why, I'll be honest with you, I fell asleep in the 5th round. So I don't know what you're talking about saying Colby won that round, because Leon was coasting, man. Colby posed no threat, no significance, no trying to display his cardio, no heart, really, to be honest with you. Colby is a disgrace to the fight game. Yeah. I don't think we should see him. I know he's selling because of what he's saying, but the dude's kind of boring. He has some of the, he's so favored. He has some of the best opportunities that some of the fighters around the world would die for.
Yeah.
And what does he do with them? He squanders them away time and time again. So his mouth is only going to get him as far as it can. And when it comes to performance-based, he fails every time. So Leon was our lock. I said it weeks ago. I really said there is no threat coming from Colby's side. He was no way he was going to win this fight. And, he's one of the biggest thieves in the world because he basically robbed all of us of our time. For all those that spent money and hope for a good end of the year pay-per-view, I think a lot of us were left with a sour taste in our mouth. So, I did take away from Leon wholeheartedly. And I think what we've gotten proof from this is that Colby's a thief, man. And he robbed us all of our, regardless of our money, of our most valuable time. We'll never get that back.
Yeah, time is the most valuable thing everyone has. And I agree, but there's a point, a lot of people say, oh, well, he's selling the fight. He makes no pay-per-view points. So he's making more money for Pantoja and for Leon. So I don't know. I guess the biggest question, from the press conference to the fight, can Leon keep his emotions in check? And even in the ceremonial weigh-ins the next day on Friday, he was still amped up. But when he locked in, he was very measured. He was calm, cool, collective. And I think we usually see that relentless takedown, but he was only 2 for 10 on takedowns, Colby. And I thought Leon actually wrestled him better than a lot of people anticipated.
Like I said, he's better everywhere, and it proved it. Yeah, you had the 2 takedowns, like you said, from Colby, but they were so insignificant. The fact you had Leon has no, pedigree in wrestling to take you down. Yeah, you said it best.
0-3 now for Colby on title shots. Obviously, he's ducking Shavkat because he wants to fight him. And it's so on brand that Colby comes and calls out the loser and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Do you like that fight for him moving forward?
It's a bad fight for Colby. I know, we can go back to, he could try to wrestle, but I think if we go to break down the fight next, I think it speaks more of Shavkat than it does Wonderboy. Yeah. So, we could break that down later. But, yeah, obviously he's smart. Colby's smart. You can't deny that. That's what you get when you get a con man. They're smart normally.
And for him to say he thought this was the easiest fight, him walking out of the arena with ice packs on the legs. I thought the leg kicks from Rocky were very effective. Him saying he wants round 3, 4, and 5. The guy's delusional. And then going on Fox News, going on podcasts, doubling down on his father's death. I mean, this guy, comparing him to Hitler, like, this guy is insane. Like, he's out of his mind. And, like,
we would have I think this probably would have been nipped in the bud a little more if Leon went for the kill, but I think it goes back to what you first said, was that Leon was trying to hold his emotions in check. And I think for, it kind of worked against him in a way, because I feel like he had that aggression and that hatred towards Colby, and he could have turned it up. But I think in the back of his mind, Leon's such a calm guy. Honestly, he's emotionally resolute. He doesn't really get too emotional in this stuff. You can see he was. So I think when it came to fight time, he was like, let me not get out of place. Let me keep, you can see it that, Leon was coasting so much that he had to kind of control his own self in the fight. You could kind of see that. And it would have been nipped in the bud if he knocked him out, if he made a meme worthy kind of KO for Colby. But, we're going to keep seeing this kind of, train rolling, honestly. I think it's just it could be a PR nightmare. It would have been a PR nightmare if Colby became champ, but like I said, him now still having the voice and having the platform, we're gonna get a little bit more of Colby, unfortunately.
Now my thing is, I hate to be this old guy, get off my lawn type of guy, but I do, in a sense, understand the UFC, and, he doesn't like to dictate and tell fighters what they can and cannot say. But even after the fact, Dana White said, yeah, I was kind of disgusted by all the comments, everything leading up to the fight. There has to be a line, Joe. There just has to be a line. And I understand if you are making pay-per-view points, I understand that that's a valid argument selling the fight. But one, you're not making any money off of more pay-per-view buys. So that's one thing out of the window. But when you start involving family, children, dead family, like, you're just not a good person. And I think it could have been nipped in the butt, just as simple as Dana White bringing it in the back. Like, listen, I understand you're a heel character, but you got to dim it down a little. You can't start doing that. Because where do you draw the line? Because you even saw the next day DDP bring up Sean Strickland's father. And you saw how that got out when they broke out into a fight in the next day. There has to be a line. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's difficult because, they're battling, ethics. They're battling morals of what they're involved in. They're involved in the fight game, and all is fair in love and war, we like to say. But then again, they're posing as a professional sport. And with the professional sport aspect, there has to be some guidelines, some policies that can't be broken. And I don't think necessarily they have that. Of course there are, but maybe not as far to extent as like the Second Amendment or representing flags. Because remember, you got to think that they were caught in trying to limit their fighters from expressing themselves, and that backfired. do then you go and try to say that you could express yourself wholeheartedly, and then that backfires. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think there has to be a balance. I think they do need to draw a line just so we can have an understanding, and especially the fighters, they have an understanding so they don't wind up in hot water.
Yeah, and Dana White has guidelines like Don't jump in on the cage. You will be fined. Even if you get a big knockout, do not jump in the cage. You will not get your bonus.
They're all hit with fines, I think.
Yeah,
behind the scenes.
You got to hit them with something where it hurts. So maybe say in the background or in their contract for the fight, hey, no swearing, no talking about dead family members. Like you got to
start out with a point deduction in your next fight, opening round immediately. You're got a 10-9 round start.
Or something, because then I doubt, because you'll have fighters. You even saw earlier in the fight, Andre Fili, when he had that big knockout, he was about to jump on the cage and said, "Oh, let me chill. Let me just do my dance before I get fined." So I don't know. There has to be something. I hate to be that old man where it's like trying to hold these fighters by the mouth. And a good resolution is, hey, they fought. Leon came out on the bright side. He won. They lost Colby lost the war. And yeah, now spinning it forward next for Leon, I'm very disappointed in his coach, Dave Laurel, just because, I mean, going on afterwards and saying Gilbert Burns deserves the next title shot is just the most asinine thing I think has ever come out of it.
That
he was on the MMA Hour and he said, well, Ariel said there's only 2 fighters that deserve it. One, I think
that's your problem. You're watching the MMA Hour. No.
Shavkat Rakhmonov, but he has a foot injury, so he's going to be out for the next few months. Or it's Bilal, which we all think Bilal should have been fighting on Saturday. And then he goes, hey, if I had it my way, I think Gilbert Burns brings more to the table. I think he's a bigger draw.
Nobody likes Bilal.
Bilal just beat him on 10 days notice in front of our eyes. I mean, what is this guy talking about? If Bilal Muhammad is not next, we riot. That's it.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to have much of a riot on your hands. I hate to say it. Bilal is hated by many, fighters included. I just that's why he's kind of hard to promote. He doesn't do all, too well himself. But he's right. You're right. He is next. He's the next shot. Anything other than Bilal Muhammad against Leon Edwards for the welterweight title is stupid, honestly. And they'll be doing that weight division a disservice. So, it's got to be. Therethere's history as well. So maybe that can kind of help the fight a little bit, even though you got 2 kind of like boring fighters in a lot of fans' eyes and a lot of fighters' eyes. That's what the distasteful is for these 2 guys. But, because of all that being said, I had a post where I said for UFC 300, you put them on the card. You put them because that's going to help promote the fight. You put them on the 300 card. Obviously, if they're having difficulty selling the fight, the promotion of 300 itself would help them. And then whoever's ahead of them would help them, because I think they would be the 3rd title fight on a UFC 300 card, if there is one.
It would be tough for Bilal to accept that, and I think he has to regardless, just because it's during Ramadan, and we'll see how the weight cut issue goes with him cutting weight during Ramadan. But no, I mean, it's just ridiculous. He is next. And I would disagree just a little. I think a lot of people within this last week have come to Bilal's, not wait, just come to his rescue and basically say he is next. Like him or not, the guy's won 10 straight, 3 within the top 5. He's dismantling Sean Brady, beat Gilbert Burns on 5 days notice. And I think behind closed doors, I think him and Dana have like a handshake agreement. Whoever was the winner of that Gilbert Burns fight is next for the title.
Yeah, and he waited as a backup. If that don't prove it, I don't know what does.
Exactly. So, but it's kind of disheartening after Colby weighed in as the backup fighter. Literally that same night, Dana comes out and says Colby's next. Why didn't he come out and say Bilal is next after 296?
That could go against what you said. That could go against what you said, where Dana and Bilal have something working or an agreement behind the scenes. Whether or not they do, Dana might have got caught up by Bilal, and Bilal's like pressing Dana. Dana's like, yeah, we got it figured out, and then does something else behind his back. So that always could happen. It's cutthroat.
Should be very interesting to see what comes about. But and still in the welterweight division, that's his 2nd defense. Leon Edwards gets the unanimous.
Quietly building a resume, especially if they do get that fight to go, and he does wind up beating Bilal. Right now, you're right. Bilal is, I think, on a different level. So if he can make it 3 defenses in a row, I mean, Leon Edwards,
killers. Maybe not
killers.
Colby,
Leon Edwards, he's on his way. He's on his way.
The flyweight division runs through Brazil and Alexandre Pantoja. What a dominant performance I thought from the champ. He
Yo,
gets
is
the unanimous.
our only Brazilian champion? Oh no, we got Peloton. Alex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was an amazing performance from the champ. I honestly thought he gassed himself out in the first and second round a little bit. I think he thought he was going to be able to put Brandon Royval away, but this is a much different fighter than he fought a few years back. I think it was 2019 they fought. But give credit to Brandon Royval. I thought he came in very in shape. His gas tank held up. And yeah, he got beat 4 out of the 5 rounds, but he kept pressing in that 5th round. And honestly, if it went another round, I'd be scared. I think Brandon Royval was kind of turning the tables a little bit on the champ, but Alexandre Pantoja does just enough to get the win. And still, what'd you think of the Brazilian?
Yeah, impressive. I think you analyzed it properly. You get that old Diaz treatment with Royval there. If there was that extra round, man, you never know, because these guys' gas tanks are just, next level. And Pantoja, he did what he had to. I'd be honest with you. You said he gassed him out, which is true. But I think he needed to do that to kind of neutralize what Royval had to offer, because he's so slick when it comes to grappling exchanges. And then when he's on the feet, he's very awkward. He's unorthodox with his strikes, and he's very rangy. I think he was a lot longer in terms of the reach and the height when it came to Pantoja. But Pantoja just bulldogged his way into those wrestling positions and wound it up on top, started wearing on Royval. He had to, he had to kind of, go balls to the wall, if you would, Pantoja, just so he didn't have the risk of what Royval had to offer. As soon as Royval would got into the, swing of things and was able to play his game, I think you would have seen Pantoja, fall behind in the scorecards, if you would. But the fact that he kept pushing it and finding a way to wind up with a scramble, takedown, scramble, whatever it was, Pantoja had to answer. And I think his experience came to play as well. You look, he's got about 10 more fights than Royval does. He's fought all over the world. I think the experience came into factor here. I think Royval's still young in his career, and he's already had these 2 opportunities against Pantoja. He's performed well in some title opportunities. So I don't think, stock for Brandon Royval is all that down. I think he's still in it. I really think with that 125-pound division, it's one of the most exciting divisions. And honestly, Royval, the way he performed, if you get him 1 fight, possibly 2 higher ranked fights, and he performs well and winds up victorious, he could wind himself back in a title shot. And with this weight class, it could be someone else, man. It could be Manel Kape. It could be Muhammad Makayev. There's so many different people that could wind up being the champion. I mean, hell, it could be Brandon Moreno again for the 3rd time. And I think we just got to see it go. I think Dana's doing right, the flyweight division, keeping it around and having the best high-level fights that you could possibly put on, because that's what I expect every time the 125 guys come out. I'm expecting high-level, very closely contested fights, and that's what happens. They prove it every time.
Joe, this was the most technical fight on the main card, I thought. I thought both fighters did amazing. I sneakily, low-key love the flyweights. I mean, these guys go a million miles an hour. They're technical. All the scrambles are high level. I was intrigued. I love this fight. I agree. I don't think Brandon Royval's stock drops at all. Yeah, he dropped in the ranking by 1. He is now 3rd, but I agree. I think you get the winner you're not the winner. You get the loser of that Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi. You fight him, you get the winner. I think you're right back in the title shot. I don't think there's a lot. Maybe Manel Kape has something to say with it, or Kai Kara-France coming off an injury, but Dana White's already said in UFC Mexico at the Sphere, Brandon Moreno, Amir Albazi is the number 1 contender match for Alexandre Pantoja. So we'll see. There's a lot to go in that flyweight division, but I love this flyweight division, kid. I think there are a bunch of fucking killers here. And, going down all the way to even number 15, the guy, your boy, the Japanese guy, he's ranked now.
That's
even him. Like, bro, there are killers 1 through 15. We saw Tiger Ulanbekov. What a dominant performance he had. He's 11th. Yeah. Tim Elliott, he's fucking game. Like, Matt Schnell is there's so many killers in this flyweight division, and I like how respectful they were to one another. It was kind of nice to see true mixed martial arts compared to all of the scum and shit that we had in the main card of people going back and forth. So it was kind of refreshing to see, in my opinion.
Thank you for stating all that.
Yeah. And then the welterweight, the third fight, tough. Our boy Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, first time ever being submitted by Shavkat Rakhmonov. That is now 18 finishes in a row. I mean, if it wasn't Bilal Muhammad, I mean, he's next. And he did tell Lorisenko he came into the fight with a fucked up foot. I think that's why we saw so much wrestling from him. But he gets the job done in the second round. Honestly, I thought that Stephen Wonderboy won the first round. If I'm being honest,
Yeah,
I scored it 10-9. I thought he did a good job defending the takedowns, but it was just too much, a little too long for Wonderboy. Unfortunately, he does fall. Thoughts on Shavkat?
Yeah, I think just as technical as Wonderboy is on the feet is as Shavkat is on the ground, and you saw it full display. I kept saying it in that second round as soon as it came into it. Don't let him grab you. I was saying to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I was like, don't let Shavkat grab you this round because he's just like quicksand, bro. Like he gets you and you have nothing to offer. You're gonna drown. You're gonna get sunken in sooner or later with him. In the grappling exchanges on the feet. I do think that Stephen Wonderboy had a little bit of advantage. You could argue he won that round, but man, he's just so threatening anywhere. He's a dangerous cat, man. Shavkat is like, that like tidal wave. You never see like right now the water is flowing out into the ocean. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's an impending tidal wave coming, and that's Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Waiting.
Yeah, wait, and that tidal wave's coming, bro. And that's why I just feel like if that's a way I could, kind of just, put my feelings into words, is that Shavkat reminds me of like a tidal wave. Right now, the waters are all out and it's just sand. And there's nothing. You're at the beach and there's nothing. Shavkat's coming. That tidal wave's coming, man.
Oh, it's coming quick too. Can't wait to see what's next for him. You got to imagine he's maybe one fight away and then he's going to get the title shot. He advances in the top 3 now. He is sitting at 3. Bilal Muhammad is 2. And then Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare, is number 1. Spinning it forward for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he stays at number 6. I know we mentioned it a little earlier in the show, but do you like the matchup? I mean, I don't even know if I want to fight Colby Covington at this point.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I think Stephen Wonderboy wins by default and by just not accepting Colby's advances. I think that's how he wins that exchange straight up and just kills him with kindness, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I think, should chill right now. He's still in the top 5, right? But
6.
Oh, dropped him out of the top 5. But still, like, he's still there. I think honestly, the point he is in his career, this was like kind of his last way to get to a title. If he beat Shavkat, he was on his way to a title. Now, I don't think he gets there. I hate to say that. I love Wonderboy so much, but I just don't see it. I think maybe he goes to UFC 299 in Miami, shows face there, and fights. You want MVP to win. I want to see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight Michael Venom Page, bro. Wow. So you want Michael Venom Page to beat Kevin Holland, because if Kevin Holland wins, then it's like, But, he beat Kevin Holland already. So, yeah. I mean, but that would be an entertaining fight. I think a fight both of them would enjoy, a fan favorite fight, like the people's main event, wherever you decide to put it on the main card, because that is absolutely a main card fight. I don't think you put it for I'm in for a pay-per-view. I don't think you put it on a fight night. Like, it would headline a fight night, but I don't think you waste those 2 guys on a fight night. That's a pay-per-view. You pay to watch those guys.
Oh, I think that's an amazing call out. MVP, those guys are going to stand and bang. Great. I love how Dana just dropped it. Oh, yeah, we got Kevin Holland fighting Michael Venom Page. No announcement of how, we signed one of the biggest free agents.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember how when they signed Michael Chandler, he went on ESPN and was like, we just got Michael Chandler from Bellator. Like, they made a whole thing about it. Oh, yeah, by the way, Michael Venom Page is with us now. it just put it in the middle. It was amazing. But yeah, I think that's a great call, putting him with Michael Venom Page if he gets by Kevin Holland. I think that Kevin Holland, Michael Venom Page is a fucking banger.
It's a barn burner fight, yeah.
I hate to rewind and go back, but Colby, is he even an attractive opponent for anyone? Does anyone even want to fight him at this point?
No, I think that's what I think is. He shot himself in the foot in that regards, because I just feel like you saw it, that that the fighters have for him. It's not even like the people. He's not even just rubbing the people the wrong way, which you can do and still get by. But when you have to see these people behind the scenes every day and even train with them, and they don't like you, you just shot yourself
It's
in the
very,
foot.
yeah, it's
You're
very
in
telling.
trouble, yeah.
Unfortunately, we got to go to the next fight in the lightweight division. Our boy Tony Ferguson took a L to Paddy Pimblett. We'll start with Tony Ferguson. I've said this in multiple pods. I'm not in the business of retiring fighters. I know Dana White came out and said that, he wants to see him go out. That's 7 in a row now. He's tied with BJ Penn for most losses in a row consecutively. I thought on a positive note, Joe, I did think Tony looked better. I don't know if it was necessarily because of the training or because Paddy Pimblett fucking gassed himself out in the first round and kind of didn't really do anything. He did win the fight. He won all 3 rounds. That I think even might have been a 10-8 in the first round, if I'm being honest. But it just looked like Tony Ferguson was content with just pulling guard and not doing anything. Yeah, he cut him up a little bit with the elbows, but he didn't do anything. He wasn't urgent. He needed to stay on the feet. And when you saw Paddy Pimblett gasp for air, you need to get the fight to the feet, because then I thought he would be in real trouble, Paddy Pimblett. But I don't know. It just looked like Tony was just content with just pulling guard and just staying on his back, which is very unfortunate to see. But yeah, I thought he looked a little better, but I don't know. I mean, it's Tony Ferguson. I think there are some winnable fights in the 30 to 50 ranked fighters, like there are some winnable fights out there, but Dana White and everyone's continuing to put him against really good prospects, and I just don't think there are very winnable fights for him.
I don't know where his contract lies, but I would be not surprised if you see UFC roster watch on X pop up and saying Tony Ferguson cut. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that happened. Because if it comes to a point where the UFC is trying to, do everything for their fighter and he's not willing to listen and kind of play ball, I think they'll just cut him, And I think Chael's son and Uncle Chael said something as well, is that like the issue with Tony Ferguson is not his condition, it's not really his mental, it's not his heart. It's the fact that he's not sparring. Like he doesn't go to gyms with other guys and spar with them. And that's what they say the issue is when he gets into exchanges on the feet and even in the ground, he's not fighting against live opponents and getting that feel for it. So throughout his career, the fact he's done damage to those opponents and stuff like that, it just what made him so special. Yeah. He did his own training, took control of his own camp, his own recovery when he hurt his knee. So like, that's what we admired much about Tony Ferguson. But we look at the difference in Sean Strickland, who spars every single day of his life. He is the champion right now. And I know you can't really compare apples to oranges, but I think sparring does help you a lot. And the fact that he's denying it has proved itself in the fights. Because I do think Paddy Pimblett is a lot better than he put on, because he's kind of like coasting himself in that one. I think he did what he needed to in the fight, and he won the easy fight in that eye. But Tony, man, I just, I was like lying to myself, if you want me to be honest with you, like everything that I posted on social media is just because I love Tony so much as a person, as a fighter. Like we said, your favorite fighter's favorite fighter is Tony Ferguson. And to be honest with you, to be real with you guys, when he came out, I just didn't have that same feel for myself as a fan. Yeah. So I can only imagine what's going through in Tony's head. And then what really spoke out to me the most is, regardless how the fight's going, you put all that time and effort in with David, and he's in your corner saying like, yo, pick it up. When that third round, he actually could have won the fight. All the rounds that I saw that Tony could have done something was the third round. And that's where he got that motivation to corner, and he 1,000-yard stared David Goggins. I think that spoke volumes on the situation Tony's in mentally. And I think he knows. He's just not willing to admit it. I hate that he needs to retire. I really do. I hate to say it. It's pained me. It led up to this point, but you don't want to go down to history, breaking the BJ Penn loss record. I think the 7 straight, I mean, man, that's going out in your shield enough, man. Tony, I love you, man, but
now real quick, Joe, I wasn't following the sport. Now, did they cut BJ Penn, or BJ Penn winded up leaving on his own terms?
No, I think after the 7th loss, he put his gloves down and retired.
He knew when it was over. I think was very telling, and I think we found out on fight night, which I wish I'd known. He had no head coach. I mean, you can't go through a whole camp not sparring, not having a head coach, and just relying on and I love David Goggins and what he stands for and what he does for everyone, but you can't just rely on Hell Week and that coming to a guy that the UFC is trying to put over against you. So I don't know. And like you said, that third round, he had every opportunity to get up. Paddy was gassed. If you were on the feet, you were going to win that fight, and you didn't. And I thought that was very telling. He didn't stay. He didn't shake Paddy's hand. But who am I to tell him? He's a legend. He's Tony fucking Ferguson. If he wants to fight 4 or 5 more times, that's your own prerogative. I mean, if you want to break the record on a losing streak, that's on you, kid. Like, I want him to go out when he feels he could go out. I think what's very noticeable from the first time I've ever watched Tony Ferguson till Saturday, it's not the conditioning. It's not the mental toughness. He's so fucking slow now. I mean, just striking, you could tell Paddy is just light years ahead and quicker and more precise than Tony Ferguson. That's what I thought the biggest glaring was. Going back to your point about sparring and being precise, he just doesn't have the speed anymore. And I feel bad. And I think they're putting him in front of killers on purpose to try to weed him out.
Hey, you're gonna weed out Tony Ferguson. I'll tell you that, though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Like, he'll sell if they keep him around. He's still onto his contract. He'll sell, but it's getting to that point now that you can't even really put him on a main card, bro.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's sad.
Tough.
It's sad.
It's tough. It's sad. The only thing I can turn it around, if we want to speak on Paddy real quick.
Yeah.
Is,
he looked good. I'll say physique wise.
He was
really
I think honestly the best shape he's ever been in, to be honest with you. I do think
I don't know about shape. He gassed out.
Yeah, I in terms of aesthetic, like he actually like the way like he looked really good. More, how he can blow up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that could come into the factor. Cutting all that weight could be why he gasses so early too.
Yeah.
So but spinning it forward for Paddy, I was seeing a lot of inklings for UFC 300. Get him in there, and I know the goal is to build Paddy. And how do you do that? If we can't get a fight between Paul Felder and Jim Miller, I think you put Jim Miller against Paddy Pimblett. If you were trying to get Tony to fraud check Paddy, that's not your answer, everyone. The answer is who's knocking people dead still at 40, Jim Miller against Paddy Pimblett.
Now, I was going to ask you if you think he's ready for a top 15 opponent. And I think he is. At this point, I do believe Paddy Pimblett is ready for a top 15 opponent. Now, we were going through the rankings a little. 15. I don't think Drew Dober's a good matchup for him at 15. I really don't. Bobby Green, maybe. You don't want to verse BSD right now. I think
that's not a good matchup.
No spoilers for no spoilers.
And BSD deserves a higher ranked opponent, like
100%,
like top. Maybe
but
top 5.
But there are people now before the fight, and who's also lost to Drew Dober, our boy Steamroll for Vola. He's probably sitting at 16, 17. I think that's a good fight for Paddy too. So I think something like that, he definitely needs to step up in competition. I don't want to see Jim Miller. I want to see Jim Miller and Paul Felder. But if I'm being honest, I think Paddy would put him away, unfortunately. But don't sleep on A10, boy. My boy.
Yeah, that's right, man.
But congrats to Paddy Pimblett.
It was a tough card, man.
Yeah, and I honestly like the cornrows. If I'm being honest, I know the hair gets in the way. I thought it was a cool look. So
it was a tough watch. That's what I mean. Yeah. And then to make insult to injury, I'm like sick down on the. You got lost from Wonder Boy. You had the loss to Tony, and then we had the loss
of Bryce Mitchell. I mean, the first fight, I thought it was the best fight of the main card, besides the co-main event. I know a lot of people thought it was boring, but I thought it was very technical. I could sit down and watch that for 10 rounds, but this was the best. I mean, one of the hardest featherweight hitters in the world, Josh fucking Emmett.
Ever.
I mean, Joe, it sounded like you threw me a fastball with wood bat, and I just hit that shit to fucking Ramsey from here. I mean, it was when you hit a ball or you just hit a clean double, and he hit Bryce Mitchell perfectly. And I've been watching UFC only for about 3 to 4 years now, and I've never seen something as scary. He was convulsating, he was seizing, and thank God Josh Emmett didn't follow through and do some hammer fists, because I thought he could have really killed Bryce Mitchell at that point. But I mean, what a fucking performance by Josh Emmett. I mean, he's right back in contention. You set him up with Max Holloway. Woo!
Hey man, he's always been it, bro. Even at the older side, bro. Josh Emmett, he still can bang, man, and that proved it, bro. And it's like I knew I was in for a long night, but I didn't know how long of a night. You know what I'm saying? That started it off quick, bro. My jaw dropped. Like, we were all watching it, and I was like, man, I'm
scary.
Yeah, because I was breaking it down. I'm like, man, Bryce really needs to find a way in, and Josh isn't showing any signs of letting him in right now. No. He's got danger written all around him right now. It happened so quick, because after I said that, Josh pushed him back to the cage and then unloaded. And just like you said, like everyone was talking loud. Bro, you heard a gunshot when Bryce got hit. And I love Doug Nasty so much. I'm glad he's okay and everything worked out. But man, I was scared. And like you said, it just was the loudest thing of the whole night, and scary. Josh Emmett's scary, man.
Oh, he's a scary human being, and both of them are very class afterwards, you know, apologizing and wishing each other the speedy recovery. And thankfully, Bryce Mitchell, when he was on his way to the hospital, everything came. He didn't even know the fight started. Like, he was like, what happened? He was like, you got knocked out. It was just bad. Bryce Mitchell's already back in Arkansas working on his farm. I mean, the guy needs a break. I love him stepping in on short notice, but you know, he needs a break right now. Go enjoy the holidays. You have a kid on the way. Go be with your wife and your farm. But it was a very scary knockout. I've never seen anything like it.
Made me think that we were going to have a very exciting main card, but the prelims were actually more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, real quick before we go to the prelims, Josh Emmett, you know, he's getting up there in age. He has one last shot for the title. Because we saw Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. That's coming up. Arnold Allen is taking on Mozar Ivalov. You have Ilya Topuria obviously fighting for the belt. And Josh Emmett sitting there at 6. Calvin Kattar has a fight against Aljo. Josh Emmett and Max Holloway. You beat Max Holloway. I think that guarantees you a title shot.
Yeah, but I think that Josh Emmett's going to play a little Donald Cowboy Cerrone for the UFC. He's going to play gatekeeper and be checking all those guys on the upcoming. They're going to have to get through Josh Emmett to get to a title shot. I don't think Josh Emmett finds his way back to a title shot.
It would be very unfortunate, because after that knockout, he did get a performance of the night. Only one in the main event got a performance of the night. And then, yeah, like you said, I thought the prelims were way better than the main card. I mean, what a fucking war between Alonzo Menfield and our boy Dustin Jacoby.
And the fight before that, too.
Oh, that was the fight of the night. I mean, it got fight of the night with the women bantamweight between Irina Aldana and Carlo Rosa. But, I mean, the Alonzo Menfield, Dustin Jacoby, I thought both of them were able to put each other out, and just the fortitude and toughness of both fighters.
Knockdowns here and there.
Sure. Oh, my God. I was screaming. I was like, oh, shit, Alonzo. And then Dustin's back. I mean, back and forth, but Alonzo Menfield does get the win. Big win in the light heavyweight division for Menfield.
Happy for him, man. You know, I had to stay away from that one because, as you saw, you didn't know what to expect in that one. No. And I stayed away from the Irene Aldana Carol Rosa fight too. Yeah,
I mean, fight of the night. I mean, both, and obviously damage reigns over leg kicks. The leg kicks were very effective, but I mean, what Irina Aldana just bit down on her fucking mouthpiece and just went forward. I honestly, Joe, we didn't talk about it, but after the fight, I stood up and clapped. I was like, these fucking ladies are these women. I feel sorry for anyone who talks back to any of these women, because these women will fuck you up.
Yes, sir.
Point blank, period. Those women are fucking savages, warriors, any name you could find in the book. That is these two women. I don't think either their stock goes down, especially Carlo Rosa getting the L, but Irina Aldana, great bounce back performance from her. Our boy Cody No Love Garbrandt, Team Alpha Male, goes undefeated. All 3 first round knockouts. So big night for Team Alpha Male. Yeah, Cody Garbrandt knocks out Brian Keller. Ariana Limsky performance of the night. Great arm bar by her. She gets a submission in round 2 against my girl, Casey O'Neill, unfortunately. She'll bounce back, though. I believe in the Aussie.
She will get it back on track. Like I said, it's just precedent I went with. She had 2 back-to-back losses in her career before, and then she went on a streak. So I think she'll get back on track.
In the flyweight, like I mentioned earlier, Tagir Ulanbekov.
He looked dominant, bro.
Oh,
Cody
my
did
God.
not have an answer. And I thought that, with the wrestling background, that's the only weakness Tagir's shown previously. But he looks like he's improved his wrestling.
I mean, we love wrestlers, Joe. Me and you grew up wrestling, and he has the tattoo on his back of USA Wrestling. But, man, I think Russian wrestling is way different than United States
wrestling, yo.
Oh my God, what a dominant performance! He winds up getting the submission in the second round. Andre Touchy-Feely, man,
one of the best nicknames, man, in the game.
I mean, give it up.
He's gonna touch you up. He'll touch you up.
Everything that this man went through up until his fight, lost his best friend, his dog, couple days before the fight, losing one of his friends he trains with, getting hit by a car. I mean, to bottle up all those emotions and then have a tough fight against Lucas Almeida, who kind of disrespected him, didn't shake his hand, kind of rid off Andre Feely. There's no one on this card I am more happy for than Andre Feely for everything he's done. I mean, this guy's just a fucking warrior. He's one of the best featherweights in the world. I know he has a very up and down resume in the UFC, but
never lost twice in a row.
When this man is on, I don't think a lot of featherweights can beat him. I am so happy for Andre Feely. I just wanted to give him his flowers that he deserved.
I love big booty Latinas.
He's a fraud, by the way. I mean, I don't think I saw one.
Andre Feely, the post fight. That's what they asked him about. Besides Harley Davidson's and fighting, what would you say that you love the most? You didn't see that? Andre Feely goes, I like big booty Latinas.
He ain't lying. Oh my God, that's amazing.
Well, you're talking about a fraud check the first fight of evening, like Martin Buday.
I didn't see one punch thrown.
Yeah.
All I saw was a shell. Shell. I mean, he got another performance of the night. Shamil. Can I buy a vowel?
Gazayev,
yeah. So, yeah, overall, I thought the early prelims and prelims were much more entertaining, if I'm being honest, Joe, than the main card.
Yeah, it was, but overall good event. End of the year. I think what it came to be, I think the truth prevailed. I think that's what came down to it. I think we got, a little bit of the lies dejected, and not to call anyone frauds, but any of those that were, aiming to be something, it turns out that they weren't. So that's what I think. I think the truth prevailed in UFC 296.
Yeah, performance of the night bonuses go to Josh Emmett, Ariane Limsky, Shamil Gazvayev, and fight of the night, Andre Aldana taking out Carla Rosa. Congratulations to all the winners, everyone getting their bonus. Joe, 3-6 on the night, not the best night, but we hit on the and still parlay. Both champions win, so I hit on the parlay. And Don't forget, 5-6 now because of my boy Jake Paul getting the first round knockout. The problem child's back.
Yeah, but crazy call. Like you said, I had no idea that was going, but I did like the venue. I'll be honest. I think
they sold it out.
Those intimate venues. Think about the people that went to go see it. They'll forever be able to say, "Yeah, I went to go see Jake Paul knock out Andre August." So like, I could get now the apex. In that aspect, it's like very personal. You go there, you'll remember that for a while, more so than like if you sat in the nosebleeds of, an event. So
yeah, no, overall great night. How was your record?
3-7. Like you said, we hit on the and still parlay. I missed the Jesus Saves parlay, but hey, on the bright side, I wanted to mention my coach did win over the weekend in Caged Under 25, 3rd round rear naked choke. UFC, watch out.
On short notice, right?
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. 4-0 all of 2023, went undefeated in bare knuckle and all across promotion. I think the UFC should keep a lookout for this guy, man.
How old is he?
My age, 29, 30, just turned 30.
Very young, so still in the prime of his life. So congrats to him. Yeah, big win over the weekend. Joe, before we get to our predictions of day and reckoning, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick. Just like how we like our lives, whether it's Huckleberry playing around a golf with Joey or in Elderberry watching Day of Reckoning, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, Joe, let's go out to Saudi Arabia. It's the continue of Real season, so shout out His Excellence for putting on this Day of Reckoning card. Like I said, man, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have gotten Tyson Fury, Francis Ngannou. We wouldn't have gotten this card. So he's putting on a lot of bangers for us, and I'm in his debt. So I can't wait for it this weekend. It's a stacked boxing card. I have 3 plays, but Joe, I know you are touching the whole card, correct?
Yeah, I'll help break down the whole card for you. And once again, thank you, Your Excellency.
Yes, sir.
So let's get right into it for Day of Reckoning. And the first fight of the event has gotten moved around. So now we're seeing Cuban great Frank Sanchez taking on Australian's Junior Fa. Frank Sanchez minus 1,600, Junior Fa plus 900. Both very capable of finishing one another. You know, obviously Junior Fa is a big dog in this one. So this is like a favorites card throughout. I think a lot of the people that are favorited, you know, there's a reason why. They look very well. Their resumes speak for themselves. And a lot of knockout power throughout. And that's what Frank Sanchez is capable of doing. But Junior Fa is tough too, man. I got something interesting that is some money for you guys. I'll shout out real quick because the best book that I saw for all the boxing plays was actually DraftKings. So what I got for you, the first fight of the evening, you would think that with the power between Frank Sanchez and Junior Fa, you think it goes out of there. They do have a lot of decision wins. So I don't pick a side. I'm just going with the fight going to distance at plus 290. Right now, under 5.5 rounds is minus 120. Over 5.5 rounds is minus 115. So it's actually a pretty much a pick 'em either way. So that gives me pause to think that this fight can go to distance. And that's why I broke it down that way. So Frank Sanchez and Junior Fa might go to distance at plus 290.
I love it, Joe. There's a lot of heavy favorites on this card. A lot of heavy favorites.
Yeah, a lot of knockout power, especially in this next one, because Arslanbek Makhmudov takes on Ajit Kabayel, and Arslanbek does not let fighters get out of the second round. It's like first round knockout or second round knockout. And I know the guy he's fighting is undefeated, but he doesn't have knockout power. So I'm going to take Makhmudov to win in rounds 1 or 2 at plus 450 because I'm seeing an early knockout here, especially if we don't get a knockout in the first fight. If we see a decision fight, I think it gets started early in the second fight of the evening, which is Arslanbek Makhmudov against Ajit Kabayel. I got Makhmudov winning in rounds 1 or 2 at plus 450. Got you some good odds.
A plus on the pronunciation, kid. I mean,
here we go. There's a couple of them. I'll try to get them good for you. With the next one, I see Jai Opetaia taking on Ellis Zorro. Jai Opetaia is a cruiserweight IBF champ, minus 2,500, and Ellis Zorro is a plus 1,200. And, you know, I'm just taking a principal bet in this one because Ellis Zorro is undefeated. And though he doesn't have as much power as Jai Opetaia, I think we could get a freaking hype job check here. You know, Opetaia, he does like what I've seen. I'm really going against my gut here because my first play was Zorro, and I'm sticking with that because I can't be going back and forth with my picks. But looking at, you know, what I've seen in the footage from Opetaia, this dude's legit, honestly. Zorro may have his hands full in this one. I may be taking an L, but at plus 1,200 for the only one on the books as a dog that I think's capable of winning, because if Jai isn't the truth, I would take the plus 1,200 with Ellis Zorro, but I may be very wrong here because Jai Opetaia has looked absolutely vicious. So it's kind of a principal bet here, going against my brain and taking a heart pick, which is Ellis Zorro at plus 1,200. But don't be surprised if Jai Opetaia knocks him the fuck out. I'll be real with you. So, you know, I might have gotten a little mixed up here because I did mention the Arslanbek fight but Philip Hrgovic against Mark DeMori is also taking place, and that may have well been flipped. So, take in mind those fights may be flipped. But I'll talk about the Philip Hrgovic fight. Croatian carrot. He's really slick on the feet when it comes down to it. Mark DeMori, Don King guy. He left him a little while ago. The only 2 times that he's lost, he's been finished. So you got to think that Philip Hrgovic's gonna get him out of there. But it's too chalky to pick anything for Hrgovic. So what I did is I found some good odds, which is over 2.5 rounds at plus 120. Because yes, Hrgovic can get you out of there early, but Mark DeMori is a vet. He's been fighting over 50 fights. Like I said, the 2 losses that he had were years ago. So though they were knocked out, they happened years ago. It makes me think that he'll get out of at least 2 to 3 rounds. And maybe, if Hrgovic catches him later, lose then. But I like the over 2.5 at plus 120. Good odds for kind of a safe bet in that one. So I'll take you right into, which is a very intriguing matchup between Triple D, Daniel Dynamite Dubois, and Jarrell Big Baby Miller. And we love the nickname Big Baby. He's a dog right now at plus 190 on the books. And I'm seeing Dubois as a minus 245. And I do think this is kind of wrong. If you want me to give you my play real quick, I'm going to take Jarrell Big Baby Miller at plus 230 on the money line because I do think the power speaks for itself. He's been trying to get in Dubois' head. Dubois had an all right showing against Usyk last time out. I mean, he looked outclassed, but he just wasn't completely out of the fight, if you get what I'm saying. So I feel like Daniel Dubois will be in there. He's favorited for surprise to me, but Jarrell Miller, like I said, that power is going to be an X factor in this one. I don't know necessarily if he'll win inside the distance via KO or TKO or even disqualification, but playing him on the money line is safe enough. If he winds up being more powerful throughout the fight and goes to the judges, I think he might get the deciding factor. So I'd like Jarrell Miller in this spot as a dog, plus 230. He's the only dog I have on the book besides Elizoro. So that's this one. I thought you might have had something live for me there. That's why I took a little pause, but no. I'll get right into the next fight after that. We got champion Dimitri Bivol taking on Lyndon Arthur. And I'll give you my play real quick. I'm taking Bivol with the disqualification win at plus 10,000. Lyndon Arthur is going to do something funky in there and might do a foul and headbutt or something and get eliminated that way. So I like disqualification plus 10,000. I'm having some fun. What do you got, D?
Yeah, Lyndon Arthur, he got defeated back in 2021. After that, he's rattled off 4 straight wins, but I think the champ Bivol, he's just, the bridge is a little too big for King Arthur, if we're being honest. The Russian, he one of the most technical sound operators, striking, display. He has discipline. He won over Alvarez. He won over Ramirez, Gilberto Ramirez as well. So, Arthur is good, but Bivol, I just think, is going to be too much for the Manchester native. While, he hasn't fought in over a year, I just think the experience, his technique, I think he should win. So I'm going to take the champ, Dimitri Bivol, to win via decision at minus 125.
Wow, I like that play, man. Yeah, I was just having fun with that one because, besides that, everything was very chalky. There's a lot of chalk on this card, so you got to kind of pick.
So chalky.
Yeah, what you got. And that's why I'm giving these fun odds for you today. So let's get right into the co-main event of Day of Reckoning. And I'm seeing, of course, the Bronze Bomber, Alabama Slammer, if you would, Deontay Wilder taking on Joseph Parker. And, man, I think I'd be foolish not to take Deontay Wilder in this spot. Joseph Parker's been knocked out before. And Deontay Wilder, I think he's actually improved. I think you're going to see a new and improved Deontay Wilder. And I think he's going to get it done early. So give me Deontay Wilder winning in rounds 1 to 3 at plus 380. I'm expecting a knockout within the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, I do think Joseph Parker, I think he's the tidier boxer, if I'm being honest. But obviously, Deontay Wilder's power just can't be ignored. He's far superior. He has the bigger reach than Joseph Parker. I just think he's going to be in danger from start to finish. Parker may have success early on, but I just don't think it's going to last on before Wilder lands that devastating right hand. So I got Deontay Wilder via KO TKO minus 330. Obviously put it in a parlay. But like you, Joe, I'm going to sprinkle on Deontay Wilder to win in round 4 plus 1,040. I think Parker survives a little, weathers the storm, and then gets a right hand from
Ooh.
Sugarland.
Hey, so I mean, hey man, I guess between rounds 1 and 4, we can win.
We need
right?
it. We need a win for round 1
We
and
need an
4.
early win. I bet you there's some odds. It might be a little chalk, but if you did like between 1 through 6, you know, if you could do 7 through 12, depending on how long the fight is. 1 through 6, I bet you would be a little chalk, but that's a little safer bet that he gets it done within, you know, the first 7 rounds.
I wish there was same game parlays that we could do with fights, just like how we could do in like an NFL game. Like take DJ to win, take him via knockout, and take the over 3.5 rounds. Get some plus money in there.
That would be really cool. I think they need to start implementing that because we would definitely be cooking up some stuff. For you guys.
SG.
Let's get into the main event. And I'll be honest, man, I think the co-main event could kind of steal the limelight with Deontay Wilder and Joseph Parker. But between AJ Anthony Joshua right now, a minus 300, minus 380, depending on where you're seeing it, and Otto Wallin plus 285 right now in the books. I do think it's a little closer than that. Wallin, you know, he's lost only a decision, and I think once he went pretty well with Tyson Fury. So I do think that people are kind of sleeping on the Swedish fighter here, but Anthony Joshua, this is his fight to lose. So unless he decides to, you know, take the foot off the gas, is the way he's going to lose this fight. Either way, it would go to decision. So I don't have official plays in terms of like over, but I would lean over rounds. I would lean the fight to go to distance. And if I had to pick a side, this is how I'm getting value out. I'm going Anthony Joshua via decision at plus 125, just because I think he can definitely outpoint him. If he plays his game, he plays it smart, he can definitely, you know, cruise throughout. But like I said, if he takes his foot off the gas at any moment, Otto Wallin could absolutely start implementing some power and try to get him out of there. So Otto Wallin is a good money line play if you want to play him that way. But like I said, to get some, you know, juice worth the squeeze and picking a side of decision, I go AJ. It's plus 125.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the mixed martial arts community or boxing community thinks, you know, AJ's probably going to dismantle the Swede, but don't overlook Wallin. You know, he's an awkward fighter, but, you know, he has good movement. He's 6'6". He's a behemoth of a fucking man, I think, even in the modern day heavyweight standards. But, you know, AJ just, I think he has enough to seed him off. It may not be pretty, and I also think it may not be as convincing as a lot of people think. I think it goes all 11 rounds. I agree with you. I think AJ wins via decision. I got it at plus 136, plus money out there, so shop around. I even like the fight to go to decision. It's at a fair price at minus 145 as well. So if you want to stay away from a fighter, just the fight to go to distance at minus 145, I like. And I also like AJ to win via decision at plus 136. Does it worry you that AJ and Deontay Wilder have a contract signed to fight each other?
Yeah, we talked about this. I do think overlooking is going to be an issue in the sport of boxing because we hope it doesn't bleed over to mixed martial arts. But
it just feels like someone's going to lose now.
It does. It kind of has the makings of that, but it's their fights to lose. So if they don't come prepared, then that could happen. You can never underestimate your opponent. So it's really on them. If they really come with their A game and their training camps, I think they should handily win these fights. But if you're really feeling frisky going based off everything we said, man, maybe pick a side, pick Otto Wallin via decision. If you're like with both of our breakdowns, makes me think, why not? You know, it might be some, you know, good value picking a side in Otto Wallin via decision, but picking him on the money line is also good value. So I don't see why not. But if you get what we're saying with these guys that are the A side with the heavy favorites, the lines are right. It's just their fight to lose. So they better come perform.
And there might be an opportunity to bet live betting as well. If you see, you know, AJ actually tailing off, getting a little gassed out. Hey,
or Deontay knocks down Joseph Parker early, but then Joseph's still there in the 5th round, 6th round, maybe live bet. Yeah,
live bet, exactly. But Joe, good luck. Should be a very good card tomorrow. I can't wait for it. Last boxing, I would not say last, but one of the biggest ends of the year in the boxing world.
Definitely not the last one.
No. Little news before we get to 10 seconds left. We had fights, like I mentioned, UFC 299 down in Miami. MVP, besides him fighting Kevin Holland, he is signed with the UFC. 1, you like the signing, and 2, how do you like this fight?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Way to get the MVP party started, if you would. And yeah, like I said, absolutely a fan of the sighting and absolutely a fan of the fight. I think it's a toss-up. I don't know what to expect. Clash of styles, stand-up styles. I don't think you get some wrestling in that one. I think these guys are gonna come to stand and bang.
Yeah, I agree. I think, in that 170 division, like MVP said, he's here for a good time, not a long time. He is up there in age. He was saying if he beats Kevin Holland, he's 1 or 2 fights away from the belt, which I agree. I think the MVP is a type of even a prospect. He's a type of fighter who they're going to fast track.
Yes.
If he delivers like we have been accustomed to him seeing. But I am glad the UFC got him. Can't wait for that fight. Also on the 299 card, Song Yadong versus Petr Yan, and Gilbert Burns versus 3 Name Jack. Which one do you like better?
Surprised by the Petr Yan Song Yadong fight because we're thinking that maybe Figgy gets that, but yeah. What do you think now, though? I know I hate to kind of get off topic. What do you think now for Figgy? Because that was the fight that we were actually both really hoping to see was Petr Yan against Figueiredo.
He's probably going to get Cody Garbrandt then.
That was the call out, right? But
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt, we didn't cover too much that he might go to bare knuckle. They gave him an offer or something because his contract's up. I don't know if that was true or not. But
Yeah, I didn't hear
a lot
that.
of interesting stuff.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but I mean that'd be very interesting. I don't think the UFC winds up letting Cody Garbrandt go.
No, you don't let a guy like that.
Dominant win. I think I don't know if Figgy wants that. I don't know if you just have that dominant win and now you fight down.
Yeah, you're right, absolutely. And then with the 3 Name Jack, and is Gilbert Burns he's fighting?
Yeah,
it's do or die for Jack Della Maddalena. It's time to prove himself, and that's a good opponent to do so. Because Gilbert Burns, though he's got the credentials in grappling, I think he's going to want to stand too. I do think he's going to want to, kind of make up for the loss at 288.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there are any odds up yet. 298.
Anyway.
All right. Yeah, we have lines. Guess the odd. Guess the favorite in that Song Yadong.
Petr Yan is the favorite.
Minus 148 for Petr Yan. Song Yadong plus 124 for the Kevin Holland, Michael Venom Page. Who is the favorite?
Michael Venom Page.
Kevin Holland minus 166 plus 140 for MVP, and Gilbert Burns, Jack Della Maddalena, who is the favorite?
I think Gilbert Burns would get the nod.
Gilbert Burns minus 125 plus 105 for 3 Name Jack. That one's close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, before we get to more fights, the first 13 weeks have been announced for the 2024 schedule. We're back on the 13th against Magomed Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. Then Toronto for 297. We're back at the Apex for 2 more fights. Then we're out on the West Coast for Anaheim 298, Mexico City, Saudi Arabia, then down to Miami for 299. We're at the Apex for 2 more. Then they come to beautiful New Jersey at the Boardwalk. We'll be there for that one. Then they go at the Apex. And then UFC 300 at the T-Mobile Arena on 4/13. So 6 of the 13 first, I guess you want to say first quarter of the year, are at the Apex. 1, I don't like it. And 2, Dana's going back on his word saying we're trying to get out of the Apex more, but I guess the Apex is really successful.
Yeah, like I said, I think when you go to the individuals who have been to the Apex, I think they say they're very memorable moments in their lives. I really think that's the factor here. And I think, they're sacrificing ticket sales for the streaming basis. So I think they're doing good enough there that they don't need to worry about, hosting all these crazy motherfuckers in their arenas and stuff like that. They could just have a very intimate select few, most likely celebrities or famous people or people with money that they could charge a high price for the tickets where there's really no overhead cost.
Yeah.
So I totally can understand why they're doing it. The smaller cage, it's just, it changes it a little bit. It definitely does. So, getting them in the bigger cage in front of fans is just more, what we're used to. And it does change the fight. It absolutely changes the dynamic of the fight between the fighters because some operate better in the limelight and some operate better in training. So that's that's just when it comes to, I think when you get fighters fighting in the Apex, it resembles more close to the sparring training aspect of the thing. So
Yeah, I agree. I think every fighter that I've heard from, they love fighting at the Apex.
Fans and fighters love it. I
Yeah.
think if you're not there, that's where it's like, you don't really see the atmosphere as much.
Yeah, and I would say from everything that I've tried to get a ticket and whatnot, it is one, they are very expensive tickets, and two, they don't come by very often. It's the few and far in between who get to see Apex cards. But yeah, so I just thought that was very interesting. 6 of the first 13 events in the first quarter for the UFC are back at the Apex, but it's cool. They go on that little trip from February 17th to March 9th. They go to Anaheim, Mexico City, Saudi Arabia. That even though that's a fight night, His Excellence demands amazing fights. So we're going to see a lot of good fights for Saudi Arabia. And then you got 299, which is going to be amazing.
I want to see on different MMA news, those guys that we lost for the Shanghai card that got canceled, all those road to the UFC guys. I want to see when they're going to be featured.
Yeah, no, I can't wait for that as well. And then Dana White announced last night some fights. 298 going back a little. Bobby Knuckles taking on Paulo Acosta. Ian Gary taking on Jeff Neal. That moves from 299 to 298. Like Dana White said, deal with it. If this fight doesn't happen between Costa and Bobby Knuckles, cut Costa. I'm done of not being able to.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if he is the cause of it, you got to do something about it. But if it's Bobby, Robert Whitaker doesn't really call out a fight. So
No.
yeah, I think Paulo Costa at this point in his career should be willing to take on a short notice fight if Bobby doesn't make it.
Mexico City, like I said, February 24th is going to be at the Sphere. No, that's UFC Noche is going to be at the Sphere. It's going to be in Mexico City, February 24th. The return of T-City, Brian Ortega will take on Yair Rodriguez in a 5-round co-main event. You like that for Brian Ortega coming back?
Yeah, that's what everyone's questioning. Why is he still ranked in the top 5? And, why is he not falling over 2+ years? I think he was recovering over injury. I think he had some personal issues. I think he had some mental health issues.
He lost one of the baddest girls in the,
yeah.
Let's be honest.
You can't really think. I just think that just life and everything just is what it is. And he had to handle it. And
yeah,
a good fight for come back. Let's see where he truly is. Because if he doesn't get past Yair, then that first loss wasn't a fluke, even though he got injured.
Yeah.
It was just kind of a sign for more things to come, and we'll get that in the second fight. So
I would
lean Yair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he will probably open up as the favorite as well, but that's going to be a banger of a fight. Yeah. First fight announced for Atlantic City, Jersey's own Erin Blanchfield will take on the French woman Manel Fior.
Hey, we called it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're matchmakers, low key, but great fight. I mean, booked. I'm Friday and Saturday. The hotel's booked already, kid. I mean, I can't wait for March 29th and 30th. We got March Madness. We got AC. It's going to be on the boardwalk. I can't fucking wait. And this is probably a title eliminator for the two women. So I can't wait. Both of these.
And that fight is opening up the card, right?
We don't know. It's the only fight that was announced so far, but it's definitely going to be on the main card. I think both of these girls haven't lost in 4 years. Like it's quite remarkable. Both of these girls, but I gotta ride with my girl Erin Blanchfield.
Oh yeah,
cold-blooded. And then UFC 300, we got 3 fights announced. Yuri Prochazka, the return of my warrior, taking on Alexander Rakic. That's going to be a banger of a fight. We got the backpack Aljamain Sterling taking on Calvin Kattar at 145. I like the first fight for him at 145. I think Calvin Kattar is a fucking warrior, so that's going to be a hell of a fight. And then the return of Bo Nickel taking on Cody Brundage. So 3 fights. You got to imagine 2 of the 3, or maybe all 3 are going to be on the main card. Who the hell knows? But what do you think? What do you think out of those 3? What are your thoughts on all 3 of them?
They could all be in the main card. I'm thinking a 6 to 7 fight main card for UFC 300. So, I think I saw the lines. The only line that I agreed with was Bo Nickel. I think he's the only one that was favorited that massively. That was correct, because I honestly think moving up in a weight class against a tough Calvin Kattar, he should have been a favorite, not Aljo. And then in the Rakic against Yuri fight, I am surprised Rakic wound up being the favorite there.
You saw the lines.
I saw the odds on those. Yeah. So, because when they announced 300, I was like, making the card, and I was posted that, and I had Bo Nickel on it as well because I was thinking that we get the title eliminator between Rakic and Yuri for Poatan and Jamal Hill because they're going to announce that fight if that's the fight that was made. So, yeah, I think I'm excited for that. I don't know what they're going to do with 300 prelim now because, I mean, you could put Bo Nickel as the featured prelim.
Yeah.
On a 10-fight prelim and a 7-fight main card. Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to rush it. Yeah, Bo Nickel, a minus 1,350 favorite. I think it is correct. I agree. I agree with you. I do think it is very shocking and telling, but I guess the odd makers are telling you, Aljo is the better fighter. He is the minus 148 48 favorite, moving up to 145. So very interesting on that. And then
Bo Nickel, you've never got a chance to see him for free. I think every time he's been on a pay-per-view, he's been the opening to a pay-per-view. Am I wrong?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I would agree. I
think that's a perfect place to showcase him would be for free on ESPN or ABC, however they're going to do UFC 300 and have him as the featured, prelim. So I know it's against Cody Brundage and I know his name isn't as high, but it's really to showcase Bo Nickel, is it not?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely to showcase Bo Nickel. I mean, and it should be interesting. You mentioned ABC or UFC. The TV deal for UFC is coming to an end. So we'll see if they get a major money's definitely coming in. So we'll definitely see if ESPN re-signs with them. Maybe, Amazon gets their hands in it. Who knows? But should be very interesting moving forward. But Joe, that's all the news I got. Why don't you close this out with 10 seconds left and away fight?
Yes, sir. And I didn't do too well in KSW 89. I went 0-2 last week. So hopefully I'll make it up for you guys this week. And Io Inoue, the monster, taking out Marlon Tapales. I think Inoue gets it done, but I'm going to be more specific and say he gets it done between rounds 7 through 12. That's at plus 140.
Let's fucking go. And that's on Tuesday, the day after Christmas, correct?
Yes, sir. Right now, he's a minus 1,800 and his opponent's a plus 900. So odds are right. He's heavily favored for a reason. But like I said, he normally knocks his opponents out later in the round. So give me 7 through 10 at plus 140.
Joe, thank you so much. Guys, thank you everyone who listens, subscribes, places bets with us, listens to us every week. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you to Joey. Thank you to our sponsor. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you guys do celebrate. But on behalf of everyone here at AKP, I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday, safe, healthy, happy holiday. We will see you guys next week. We have our award show. We'll be dressed up to the 9. I will, at least. So we'll see you guys next week. We'll definitely have maybe some futures. Who knows? We'll have some awards to give out. Definitely some hot takes. So make sure you guys follow along our social media, X and Instagram at AxeKickPicks. You guys can find all of our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Make sure you guys check us out on YouTube. We go live every Friday around 1:05 here on the East Coast on youtube.com/AxeKickPicks live. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, give us a rating, leave us a review, leave in the comment on who you're betting on a day of reckoning. All that good stuff really helps the show grow tremendously. So be a friend, tell a friend. Everyone, good luck on your wagers this weekend. Merry Christmas, be safe, be well, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace!